Being that it's 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order with start with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have the agenda before us here. Is there any questions on that? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approve previous minutes from the board meeting of November 4th. Any additions or corrections to those?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Work group session, November 12th minutes. Any additions or corrections to those?
I'd make a motion to approve the work group.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, now we have public comment period. Anybody that would like to come forward and make a public comment, now is the time to do so. Anybody would like to make a public comment? All right. Okay, we'll go right into appointments. We have the Marybelle Transmission Project presentation. You guys want to come forward? I just want to give you guys a heads up. We have a public hearing at 9:30 that we need to get to, so if we have to cut you off, we're gonna cut you off, and then we could always come back later if you want to stick around.
Okay.
Okay.
No
So,
problem.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. So we're here today to talk through the project that's been assigned to Dairyland Power, and we've partnered with Grid Alliance Heartland, and we'll get an introduction to what the project is. So, slide. So today we're going to talk about who the partners are. We'll have a full overview of the project, starting with the need, going through the actual project itself, a high-level overview, the schedule, the benefits of the project, routing considerations, and then right-of-way and easement process from a high-level standpoint, and then we'll have time for a Q&A afterwards. Slide. So I'm Clay DeWitt, Manager of Regional Transmission Projects. I also have Dylan Allitz in attendance today as well. He'll be the project manager directly for this project specific, and joined today with Grid Alliance. So go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Good morning. I'm Jessica Hewitt.
And I'm Josh Dobbins-Beck.
Thank you. Slide. All right, so just an overview of who Dairyland Power is. So we're a generation and transmission cooperative nonprofit in this region based out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. So a lot of the rural electric here is provided by My Energy. So they're one of our 24 Class A member cooperatives. We also support 27 municipalities in our territory as well. Those are usually fed through one of our Class A members. We're serving about 750,000 people, as well as we've got 500 roughly employees here at Dairyland across the generation and transmission. We have a few different outposts, including Harmony, Minnesota would be the closest one that would service this area. And then we have a total of about 400 distribution substations. So that is where we hand off from our transmission system to our distribution members. Slide. There's a map there that shows all of our different distribution members and some of the municipalities and generation stations. I'll let people just kind of take a look at that quick. So Dairyland, like I said, is headquartered in La Crosse.
So that JCE co-op.
Yep, that's oh my goodness, I just completely drew a blank. Joe Carroll Electric in Illinois. That's our one co-op that's in the state of Illinois.
Okay.
And you have a list under My Energy of all those different locations in Minnesota and Iowa. So those are your workstations, is that right? Or
Those are,
the circles that are numbered 3 through 11?
yeah, those are, I believe, are the municipalities within the My Energy
Okay.
footprint. So those, like I said, it's, they're not a Class A member, but they're still being provided transmission services through Dairyland, and then it is typically handed over via My Energy. So their contracts are with My Energy. All right, slide. Was there any other questions?
No, it looks like there's Wisconsin Great Lakes Utilities on the other side, then, right? On the other side of the river. So the same thing.
Correct. So we're a wholesale provider for those
Yep.
folks over there. Yep. All right.
So Grid Alliance Heartland is the partner of Dairyland Power Cooperative on this transmission project. We are actually a subsidiary of NextEra Energy Transmission, which is a subsidiary of NextEra Energy Incorporated, the parent company based in Florida, Southeast Florida. So we do have NextEra Energy Resources, our renewable arm of the parent company, has both batteries, solar, and wind projects in Minnesota. And the parent company is in 49 different states, has invested since 2011 approximately $120 billion in capital infrastructure related to the electrical industry, and operates approximately 72,000 megawatts of power. Next slide. So Grid Alliance, who I'm here representing today, currently operates in 5 different states. There's 3 different operating companies within Grid Alliance. One is based in CAISO out west, one is based in SPP, and the other one is based in MISO, which is where this particular transmission project is located. So we have Grid Alliance West, Grid Alliance High Plains, and Grid Alliance Heartland. Heartland being the partner for this project. Next slide. So MISO, the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, is the one who oversees and operates the grid in this particular area of the central United States. So they monitor the grid and do real-time energy market transactions. They are the ones that determine the project needs, and they also are responsible for this overall system planning. So this particular project is in both MISO North and MISO Central because it is in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Both Grid Alliance Heartland and Dairyland are members of MISO. So this project is going to be a double circuit. It will be a 765 kV line on the same tower as a 161 kV line. So one of the reasons why MISO direct assigned this project to Dairyland Power Cooperative is because they have an existing 161 kV corridor in this area. So the intent is to rebuild that 161 kV line on a new steel lattice tower and have the 765 above that. It will stretch from Marion, Minnesota to Bell Center, Wisconsin. And like I mentioned, we intend that to be, we are proposing, as MISO suggested, that follow the 161 corridor for the very most part. This project was direct assigned back in December of last year to Dairyland, and as part of that MISO board approval, they approved 24 different projects worth nearly $22 billion. Next slide.
One question.
Yes.
Double circuit?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So you'll have a 765 kV line, and then below that, there'll be a 161 kV line.
So that'll replace the line that's currently there?
Correct.
All right.
Yep. I guess, do you want me to elaborate at all on that or not? Maybe not. But the existing is 161 currently, so what's there today will be removed. And then basically those wires that are serving load regionally today will be hung up onto the new structure. So there won't be two sets of structures out there. It'll just be one structure with 6 phases on there rather than just the 3 phases.
All right.
How tall?
The structure height is approximately 150 to 200 feet tall.
That'd be the maximum height?
We are trying to design it to be below 200. That is the ceiling. There may be a few exceptions, but the design criteria is trying to keep that below 200, primarily because of FAA requirements.
How's that gonna affect cell phone towers?
So we actually have a consultant under contract currently looking at exactly that concern and evaluating that. That's part of the design process.
Because where you wanna run your line, I have a cell phone tower. That's gonna be a problem.
Exactly. So what we do is, we have a slide that speaks to the siting process, but we do what's called micro siting, where we go property by property by property. So that's one of the reasons why we do meetings like this and do outreach to the landowners, is to understand exactly those concerns early on in the project. Very high level on the project schedule. So it was awarded, like I said, in December of last year. Darylin and Grid Alliance have been working on initial permitting outreach, landowner outreach. We have to file state and federal permits. We have submitted the initial application to the Minnesota PUC for the certificate of need. We will be submitting a routing permit in Minnesota. Next September is the timeframe that we're earmarking for that. So it's going to take multiple years to do exactly that, is get all the necessary permitting, do voluntary land acquisition. We anticipate starting construction in 2031, completing in 2034, and putting it in service June 1st of 2034.
So your reason for redoing all this is because the old stuff is shot, wore out, or what's the plan? Why is there a reason that you wanna redo all this for?
So the existing 161 kV line has a remaining useful life of approximately 5 to 10 years. So that is due to be upgraded, but also MISO, as part of their planning analysis, has looked at the anticipated load growth in this particular area and has determined that it is necessary to upgrade that line so that additional power flows can occur due to anticipated congestion on the grid.
So we're pulling more power down here. We need more power.
Yes, that's the anticipated projection.
You're transferring power, you're not, it's not,
Just here.
it's just not for here, it's for where it's going.
Correct. So it's a combination. So you have the 161 that provides power locally. So there's multiple substations along the line associate the 161, and then the 765 will have a substation in Columbia, Wisconsin, and a substation in North Rochester. But that's part of a larger 765 kV backbone, as MISO has called it, that will start in the Dakotas and go into Wisconsin.
So how is this gonna, we have an airport, within probably 1.5 miles of where your line is, how's that gonna be affected?
So we have identified that. The FAA consultant has identified that as one of the concerns. And so for the most part, we will follow the existing right-of-way. However, in those particular circumstances, we will likely have to come out of the existing right-of-way so that we can meet FAA requirements associated with the airports. I want to say there's at least 5 along the route.
You know, I'd like to clarify too that the 765 kV, it's not just taking power from one end to the other. It does tie into substations and drops the voltage throughout the project, and then that eventually ties all the way down. So the best way to think about it is the interstate system being built out, and then it eventually tying into state, county, and then local towns. roads, so,
Can you feed into that line?
yes. Yep,
So like
yeah, so,
if you get a large solar project, that can be fed into it?
Yes,
yep.
yes. There's
Go ahead.
a lot of opportunity for new generation, and that could be gas generation, renewables. But, you know, we're not part of that particular, we're associated with just the transmission line, but it will open up opportunities for additional generation to satisfy that growing electrical demand that MISO has identified as part of their planning process.
Why don't we let you get through your slides
Okay.
here, and then we could ask all the questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the project benefits, like I mentioned, MISO anticipates significant electrical demand increasing here over the years. So that's why this particular transmission project and many others have been identified as part of Tranche 2.1 projects recently approved. We anticipate, based on project costs, that we will infuse approximately $400 million in tax revenue into Minnesota over the lifespan of the project. We also will have a positive impact on the local economy. We will bring hundreds of jobs, construction jobs, to build out this line, and all of those folks will obviously be staying in hotels, eating here in your restaurants, using your gas stations, and basically living here for months. One important thing I think to note is that the 765 kV line is the equivalent, moves as much power as 6 345 kV lines. So the benefit is that you have one single 765 kV line versus 6 corridors with 345 kV in it. And that, with that approach, you can save 70 to 80% on your land use. So we can drastically reduce the impact on landowners by using the 765. Next slide. Routing considerations, we spoke a little bit about this earlier. This is a very laborious process. As you mentioned, you know, we have to look at FAA considerations, and potential interferences to existing infrastructure. Typically, you design transmission to run along linear corridors with other utilities. That's typically a preference. We have to look at historical and cultural resources. We work with the tribes that have ancestral ties to this area. We have to look at wetlands. We have to look at individual landowner parcels to understand what constraints there may be on their parcels. We're looking to use a right-of-way. The typical right-of-way width is approximately 100 feet wide right now. We anticipate it being up to 250 feet. And based on the micro-siting effort, that additional land needed may be to the north and maybe to the south. It may be split across the existing corridor, again, to take into account those constraints. Next slide.
All right, here's the map showing our existing line route, so where the project was assigned to Dairyland by MISO, starting in Olmsted County, going to Mower, and then Fillmore, and then through the southern portion of Houston there, and then into Wisconsin from there. So on either side of that, there is a 765, but this portion is the only one that is a double circuit. And it's mostly due to just the nature of our area in the driftless region here. Like Jessica had mentioned, the PUC really wants us to follow existing infrastructure when constructing any new transmission line. And there was a detailed analysis on routes and what would be the least impactful, and our route was chosen just because there wasn't a good corridor for highways or any other linear infrastructure in the area, and they chose to build on our existing right-of-way, and that's why it was assigned to Dairyland.
Okay.
So, next slide. All right, so right-of-way and easement process. So we do have right-of-way agents that are out there today, and if you are contacted, Greg, you had mentioned that you were close to the route, so, I don't know if you were contacted or not by any right-of-way agents, but Doyle's working on behalf of Dairyland directly, and then obviously with our partner as well, but if you see anybody out there with Doyle Land Services, that's who we've contracted with, and we brought them on and we had a thorough, training process just to make them familiar, making sure that they understand what the project is, and you know, we're trying to make sure that they're relaying what all the information about the project is to the landowners. So, if you do see anybody out there, they're legitimate. I know we've already had several people call in and ask, you know, who's Doyle. I just want to make sure this is real. So, and they've made contact. We're working through. We do have some events and one locally tonight. So we are going through. We're looking at everything as far as the right of way through an environmental process. We're surveying the land for cultural and architectural reasons, and yeah, I guess we want to use the existing right of way as much as possible because that's what was determined for us, and you know, it's my belief that we don't.
You're not gonna.
You've got a brown, like what we'd say, an impacted area already, right? So that will remain if this line was a brand new greenfield. That line would remain, and you'd just be adding a whole nother line somewhere else, likely in the county. So we'd rather use the existing corridor, and that's kind of the main driver here from the right of way perspective. So, but yeah, talk to the agents if you have anybody like landowners that come and talk to you. You know, all their questions can be filtered through the right of way agents that are out there, and you know, it's Dairyland has had high praise from the Public Utility Commission when talking to landowners when it comes to micrositing and the easement process. And we do want to hear the landowners and their concerns and do everything we can to work with them on, you know, at least placement of the line and or the alignment itself from, you know, the center line, whether it shifts left to right or stays on the existing, because we will have a larger easement there. So, and I know that there's rumors as well that we're just going to come build it no matter what sort of thing. It's definitely not the case. We're not. Yes, we're going where the existing right of way is, but we can't use just that existing right of way. So
You need more.
the easement process would be paying the landowner for an entire new easement. It wouldn't just be the difference between the existing and the new. So, you know, we want to work and make it right with the landowners too, so.
So it'll be a whole new easement.
Correct. Correct.
So, is this your last slide?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead and finish it.
Okay, so I did allude to that. That was a big reason why we had a strong push to get our land agents out here, is because we want to inform the landowners that we had an informational round of meetings. And just because the nature of our project being along an existing right-of-way, we're not identifying greenfield right-of-way, so we're a little bit ahead of others on either side of our project. And I know the word was getting out there, so we wanted to at least, you know, if others disagree with Dairyland or the project, or, you know, that's completely fine. We want them to have all the facts and the information to have an educated opinion upon the project. So there was, you know, different information out there, but that's what these public information meetings are. We don't have a final design. We don't have a permit to build the thing, but you know, there's rumors of the project already, and we're out there to answer what questions we can today and at least be open and honest about the information we know today, so people can understand the process too and know that they do have a voice, and there will be outreach events beyond this that are also, you know, statutorily required through the application process with the Minnesota PUC. So there's one here tonight from 4 to 6 at the Four Seasons Community Center. So encourage anybody to come out and ask their questions and go around the room and talk to people much smarter than I am about the individual subject matter experts, you know, whether it's line design or the right-of-way agents or our communications folks. And we'll have a little bit everybody there tonight to answer specific questions.
Have you advertised that, or how have you advertised that in the local area?
Correct. I guess I'm not 100% sure in this area as far as the newspapers, and I know we've had Facebook, we've got a website, we've made contact with a lot of different local governments throughout the route. We've had, so this first round, and we just broke it into 3 different open houses so it's 140 miles. So trying to determine how far you're gonna make people drive to go get their information. This first round, we did 3, so last night we did Grand Meadow, Minnesota. Now we're here in Houston, in Caledonia tonight, and then we'll be in Westby, and it's not going through Westby, but that was the closest center we could find for the Wisconsin side of things. But
Yeah, we did send mailings out to all the landowners on the existing corridor.
Great.
correct, so yeah, so there's mailings along with like in-person contact. As I said, our right-of-way agents are trying to make contact. We've got 500 and I can't remember the number. It's 547 or something parcels. So I mean, it's over 500 landowners that we're trying to make contact to inform them of these open house meetings this week. We plan on having another round sometime in January tentatively. So that'll be more focused on the needs case for the project. So in Minnesota, you've got the certificate of need that you apply for. And that's kind of like the purpose of the project. And then in September is when we are going to file for a route permit. So there'll be public outreach events required for both of those applications.
How come you can't bury it instead of going above?
So that is cost prohibitive, and the technology doesn't really exist right now to do that. It would also create far more impacts to the environment because you're excavating a large area. The benefit of having individual towers above ground is that you have a typical span, but if you've got something if you've got a wetland and you can avoid impacting that wetland by shifting the pool 50 feet, then you can do that. You have the latitude to do that.
Because there's a huge power line that's buried on the Iowa border. Just down there, not too far from where you guys are.
What is the voltage?
I have no idea.
Okay. It does, we have done I've done underground for 161 myself, but the technology is not there for 765.
Because you stand underneath the ones we got now, they hum. You can, humming.
So there is actually a noise statute in Minnesota where you cannot exceed 50 decibels at edge of right-of-way. So that's one of many, many engineering criteria that we have to design to.
And that's like a worst case scenario. So that basically it's 50% of the time during like extreme rain event. So it's not going to be a continued 50 decibels at the edge of right-of-way. That's like the extreme case. You cannot exceed that. So that would be, it's a rain case even. It's not even just fog.
So do you have power generation that's excess that you need to get to move this power from one point to the other? Like
Dairyland specifically? Or
the need for the 765? Where's this power right now gonna be coming from to supply that line?
So we are only under contract and doing the transmission project, so we can't speak to the potential generation sources where those would be located.
Okay.
so that's part of MISO's process, is basically understanding and running, scenarios in their supercomputer. They're running ProMods, trying to figure out exactly what the demands will be in our region, and so they're trying to solve for the future. You saw the in-service date's 2034, so they're trying to solve for far beyond that. So by the time we get this thing built, it's not going to be under, need a higher capacity yet. So
Right. It's gonna be overbuilt first, right? I mean,
Yes,
it's overbuilt, so you can handle
to-
future expansion of power.
correct,
yes.
correct.
Yes, MISO's planning process goes out decades.
Yep. So but currently, even today, I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of different folks reaching out to cooperatives locally too and looking for load, and it's almost becoming the transmission is the limiting factor. We just can't provide the load locally, and there's business.
Well, that's coming from the solar and wind energy production, isn't it?
I mean, it's hard to say exactly where Electron was produced once it's out on the system, but yeah, I mean, you're accurate. There's a lot of renewables west of here, but there's
I get all the windmills out there and.
Yep. But they all, I mean, the purpose of this line is to tie all of it together. And it's like I said, it's like building a 8-lane divided highway. And right now we're running on a 2-lane.
So like My Energy could hook into this anytime they wanted and buy power from you?
It'd be indirect, I guess, because we'd have to get it down to a service load. So, but it all ties in together. So it's a full network. You know, the grid it'd go from 765, it'd step down to 345, down to 161, down to 69, and then 69 is our service load to My Energy. But there's other generation interconnects as well. So I apologize.
Yeah, so
So
can you stick around?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
I just have another question. We can go on.
We can stay.
Yes, yeah, if you guys can stick around, it'd
Yes.
be appreciated, and
Yeah.
we could do this public hearing for
Yeah.
this abatement.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to, our 9:30 scheduled public hearing to consider granting a property tax abatement under the Minnesota statute 469.1812 to 469.1815 to assist in the construction of a cold storage facility. The property is described as follows in the tax parcel number 211163000.
Need a motion for that or not?
Need a motion to go into public hearing.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, welcome, Pete.
Thank you, guys, for considering this.
Yep. Allison, you wanna present, or talk about this?
Yes, so Snowpack Foods has requested a tax abatement on their county taxes. They are constructing a cold storage facility in the industrial park in Caledonia. This project will benefit not only Snowpack, but also other local businesses, as they will be leasing some of the space to other local businesses. The project does qualify for a tax abatement, and the EDA board is recommending approval. The project is expected to significantly add to the tax base. The new market value is anticipated to be around $3,418,700. The abatement will not exceed a period of 6 years, and it would start with taxes payable in 2027. And then it will go through years 1 through 6 with a percentage of the county taxes being abated, as is stated in the resolution, which is in the packet.
Yep, I see that here. So after year 6, it's gonna be fully on the tax rolls, right?
To my knowledge, the city has not approved the city one yet.
No, I haven't heard nothing.
Okay.
Okay. This is just for the county, so, yep,
And then we want to allow the public a chance to comment.
right. Anybody from the public would like to make a comment? No public comment? All right. Is there a motion to come out of public, hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we're out of public hearing. Can we just skip right to the, action item right now for, number 1, to consider the tax abatement? We'll get that out of the way. You know, Pete's got an appointment to go to, so.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution of approving the property tax abatement.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Being on the EDA board, I feel this is a very good project. We appreciate you pursuing this, Pete, and it's also gonna be utilized by local people as well.
Yeah, yep, we're gonna make that available for, some of the guys that do Buffalo and different things around locally that are looking for storage.
Yep. Okay.
Good for the county.
Yeah, I know a lot of small meat processors were looking for places to store their stuff, so.
Yep. And the way our business goes, we start out in May, June, filling the freezer up. And as get to Thanksgiving time, we're going the other direction again. So we welcome having other people to fill
Right.
that void.
It'll free up some space to be utilized, so.
Yep.
What's the timeline for the build out on your facility? I know it's underway. Do you know a completion time?
We're hoping July.
Okay. All right, good enough. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. All right, good enough. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks.
Thank you much. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks. All right, now we'll get back to our Mary Bell project people and continue with our questions. I thank you for sticking around here, so.
Well, a couple of you have come from Florida, right?
Yes,
So we've come this far, so might as well stay a few
we have
minutes.
time.
You should have came in January or so.
We're coming back in
We're
January.
making them come back in January.
You get the real taste.
So when I reached out to your group, and I'm trying to think of the different layers of the group, basically, I think it was, your group, in September.
Yes.
It sounded like, when I started hearing about this, I was curious about the route through Houston County. So it sounds like now back on that slide that you had, it's kind of a rough version of that slide of where exactly, what townships, what area that goes through. It runs along the line of the current lines.
161,
Right,
yes.
okay, so just if we have questions, it was kind of elusive, hadn't been determined a couple of months ago, so it sounds like you're getting closer to the point of knowing where that route might run through the county.
Yes, so it's the proposed route, but ultimately it'll be the Minnesota PUC that makes the final determination, because we do have to provide in our application routes that we considered other than the preferred or proposed route.
Okay.
So in your statement of how much revenue this is gonna generate for property taxes? We've run into a situation where when public utilities get assessed, gets appealed,
Oh, okay.
and it gets reduced because it was determined that in tax court that it was overvalued, so it gets reduced. So then we end up sending money back.
Oh, okay.
So I just want you aware of that that's not always the case. I know they seem to always wanna appeal those assessed values, and they usually win. They have been, haven't they, Carol? Yep.
Okay, so I was not aware of that, but I will tell you that the $400 million projection for Minnesota is conservative. Purposefully conservative.
So your extra easements that you're gonna utilize, let's just say the guy you're going to run across some farmland and you're gonna want another 100 feet besides the 100 feet you already got. That's gonna affect his farming operation, is it really? Or is it,
So,
the easements are just for access, right? Or,
correct. You got it. So, and currently these structures will be larger, but in the egg,
that part will get increased, right?
Correct, but there'll be less structures typically, because our typical span length today is 600 to 800 feet. These will be more like 12 to 1,500 feet. So I can't promise on any one parcel that I'm gonna eliminate half the amount of structures and on any one tract, just because it depends on, the contours of the land. But it in the more flat ground, it is much more close to that 50% of structures will be eliminated. So there'll be a larger structure, but there'll be less of them. But yes, no, look, we plan on, especially in agriculture, we're buying all the easement we need to where you just wouldn't be allowed to install a structure up to the edge of the right of way. Farming activities, we don't plan on interrupting any of that.
Just for building purposes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, and then, like you said, access. Yep. But the reason it's gotta be that wide is just so one, you're gonna pay by acres too, like the appraisals will go by acres, so if we're basically limiting what the landowner can do with their property, they need to be compensated for that. So, but that being said, when it comes to agriculture, no, we fully don't wanna interrupt that.
What if we have an ordinance that says that you can't put towers on ag land?
I guess I've never,
Well, see,
Been asked
we're
that.
working on an ordinance in Houston County right now that says you can't put solar panels on ag land.
We don't have one yet.
Not yet. I said, we're working on one. So how's that going to affect this?
I guess I can't answer that.
That's all I want to know.
Would it be specific to a certain type of tower, or would it be any tower over a certain height, are you saying, or would you eliminate all transmission lines?
Well, you can't put no towers or solar panels on ag land, so I don't know how, there's gotta be there's a lot of gray area in there. And I don't know how that's gonna work out. Houston County hasn't done it yet, but they're gonna, the way it sounds. So that's gonna affect you guys a lot.
Yeah, we were unaware of that proposed ordinance.
What would I guess I'd have to ask what defines a tower?
I can't answer that question.
Cell tower?
Oh, we have cell
Cell
towers.
towers, we got cell towers, 300 feet, I mean,
The ordinance is for solar.
That's a solar ordinance that Greg's referring to, yeah.
Not
and this is related to solar,
Um,
green energy.
Well, we're here today to speak about just the transmission. We're not involved with
Who do you talk to about the power then?
the generation.
Yep.
I guess, MISO is the one that's developing the projects in this.
So are they gonna have meetings or public input meetings on the
The generation aspect of
generation
it.
aspect of it?
Why don't we take that away as an action item? Like I said, we're only well-versed in the transmission part of it, but we can look into that and get back to the board.
I mean, those.
To get you more
those are
information.
Questions we're gonna have.
More so about
Us.
generation.
Yep, they wanna know, okay, where's this power coming from and who's supplying this power and where's it going and why the need for the extra power and this and all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
and I don't think any of that has been determined as far as who and where, but we can certainly do some research and get back to you as to where you could, send your constituents to find more information, what is available from the generation perspective.
You know now where it's going?
It's-
That's what's so hard is, when Dairyland first came about, we specifically generated for our members.
Right,
Now, everything's controlled by an independent system operator. So, we have no idea where the electrons come from and where they end. Like, you can't follow one specific electron anywhere. So, we're not biased, we're not here promoting green energy. And we're not necessarily against it either, I guess. We're impartial to it.
I get that.
Yeah.
Your purpose.
So who's the independent? So MISO's the independent?
Yes, and then they cover the entire system from Louisiana all the way up through Manitoba.
Okay. Are they directed by federal and state policies?
FERC, yes, they were assigned by FERC.
Okay.
These data centers, what are they?
That's-
Nothing to do with us.
That's different,
Yeah.
different subject.
Different deal? Thank you.
So your meeting tonight in Caledonia is that gonna be like a presentation meeting or?
No, well, sorry, I've been speaking.
It's just an open forum. We have a series of different poster boards and areas with the various subject matter experts at each. There's no formal presentation. You just come in, and if you're interested in seeing what the structure looks like, you go to that area and that board, or if you just want to hear a general introduction, then Clay and I will be there tonight at that board, so.
So you're just like,
Oh, yes, 4 to 6, yeah.
yeah, it's not a designated time, you got from 4 to 6 to come in and.
Yes.
Open house.
You got the same idea from Minnesota DOT, I think, because that's why they conducted theirs for the
Oh, okay.
roundabout here, so.
Yeah, and we, like I said, we encourage, like, if people are reaching out to you guys, or if you guys, you're more than welcome, I hope to see you down there, but if people are reaching out to you, please send them our way, so that way we can at least talk to them, they can leave comments verbally, they can write their comments down and leave them, submit them. They can look, we'll have a, JS station up for them to, maybe not necessarily a station, but we can at least like zoom into their parcel so that we can talk through it with the specific landowner, and what where the center line of the route is right now on their parcel, so.
And you had a point of contact for that too, right? It's very confusing. People I've talked to are wondering, well, I've heard Dairyland, I've heard this, MISO, and so that's very helpful to have that, filter that information and get one contact, considering there's been a lot of different organizations and companies involved.
Yes.
Yep, yeah, so I mean, for this specific project, it's gonna be hard for anybody to talk to MISO. I mean, they're, yeah. I only have one.
That's who you want.
Dairyland has a
Who you want to talk to, is Vice.
Yeah, yeah.
They filter that information through, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So will there be a map available for, that shows our county with parcels?
So we don't have a detailed map. The map that we are sharing right now is the one that was in that presentation. So for the most part, it follows the 161 kV corridor, but we're still in the preliminary stages of siting, right? So I mentioned the micro siting effort. So we anticipate in January when we're back to do open houses then.
Oh, so you're coming back, okay.
Yeah, we were serious. We're
You'll have-
coming back in January.
Yeah,
Early January, after the holidays, that we will have a GIS station set up where you can see the corridor and
Good.
look at individual parcels and stuff. We're just not there because there's just so many different parameters we're considering as we're tweaking
This is
and,
better than the last couple of months, so you're
Yes,
getting there.
yes.
yeah.
This is available on the website right now as
Okay,
well.
good.
yes. Yep.
That'll be good.
Yep, so we do have a Facebook page, we have the website, so, we try to respond to inquiries within 24 hours, so certainly send your folks our way, and we will promptly respond to every inquiry.
Good.
Anybody in the crowd want to ask a question? Anybody in the crowd want to ask any questions?
Anybody from the public would like to get any questions that they could ask?
Staff.
A question, I don't know if this is a really dumb question or not, but are there any health effects of increasing power line transmission? The landowners of the folks that live close to these lines?
So both companies follow, I think you're speaking about EMF. So both companies follow the scientific research associated with that very, very closely, including organizations such as the World Health Organization and then the National Cancer Institute. And based on the scientific research to date, there is no causal effect between EMF and disease, including cancer.
You know, yeah, and I was just add to that. I'm not the subject matter expert in anything again, but there's people much smarter than I am. But just for reference too, like no matter what the voltage is of the line, we have to follow the same parameters for the effects that are at the ground level, underneath the structures. So underneath the line. So just because it's a higher voltage doesn't mean that we're increasing anything necessarily at the ground level. And then an EMF is in everything that you have that's got any
Power
kind
flow.
of power flow, battery or capacitor in it, like your microwaves, your cell phones, the radio, this microphone. It's in everything, and I think you'd be surprised at the level of that's in the household items in comparison to what the lines are. So there's additional information that we're trying to compile and make it a little bit easier to digest on that. So.
Yeah, so we, again, that's one of many design considerations for the transmission line.
Cause you can hear them humming now. Is it gonna get louder humming with more power going through? Will it be louder? More than likely, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There's some restrictions though by the state,
The
right?
state, yeah, the PUC stipulates 50 or less at edge of right-of-way. So we are designing to be obviously below the 50. And just for comparison purposes, 50 decibels is considered to be the same noise a humming refrigerator would generate or a quiet conversation.
Yeah, and that's, and like I said, that 50 is at the worst case. Sorry, lost my train of thought there with the microphone messing up, but
Yeah, so it is the worst case. The 50 decibels occurs when there's, what is it?
Storm.
During a rain event.
Get rain, yeah.
Yeah.
Heavy rain.
And a heavy rain, there has to be dew on the line. That's when you would hear the highest amount of decibels. But then it's difficult to measure because it's raining. So, how can you accurately measure the sound that the transmission line is making relative to the rain itself? So that's worst case scenario is when you've got a heavy rain and there's, the line is, it's humid and it's wet.
Can I ask another question? So like the 161, what decibel?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't, I'm sorry. That's something I should probably know, though.
You better look into that.
Yeah, check that one out.
Trial run of questions here.
So
That's why we have a lot of these. So that way we can get the information as we go through this. It's a long process, so.
this is a question for you. Is there state policy that is pushing this or pursuing this, want to see this happen?
From the state specifically?
Yeah.
No, I truly do believe it's driven by more than just the state. I mean, it's because we're these lines are the Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois,
Well,
just
I
our
could
group of
rephrase that.
projects.
Maybe it's more of a federal and state combination, maybe.
Maybe the two together,
Yeah.
federal and state.
Yeah.
I can tell you, it's a long process for us to get through with getting permits from both state and federal.
Yeah.
So it's truly driven by the experts that are at MISO to make sure that we don't get into a state where we're having blackouts because of other either generators coming offline or large load growth in certain specific areas, and then there's congestion on the line. So the bottleneck is the Mississippi. So the Mississippi River is we've got the refuge there, the Upper Mississippi Wildlife Refuge. I think it's 250 miles long, roughly. So I mean, they're not really allowing new right-of-ways through there. So that's kind of the bottleneck. And so you're getting congestion on the line because there's only so many limited paths for electrons to flow across, and everything's interconnected. It needs to be for reliable energy just for everybody locally as well. So I think that's kind of what's driving it, is the experts from MISO. It's not necessarily any specific state. And then you still have to apply for FERC at the federal level as well for all these, so.
State's different.
The green energy.
Correct.
Initiatives in the state, but it seems like it's.
That's what I'm getting at.
Separate, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd be lying if we didn't say we're supporting green energy in Minnesota, but it's not like this, it's not, I guess, top of our mind or the need. It's just they're identifying where the power is flowing directionally and how much of it and how much congestion in certain like peak times in the dead of winter when it's cold, or during harvest when everybody's drying corn, like all those scenarios, and where there's congestion on the line. It's similar, like, to why I talked about an interstate, is because think about traffic backing up. Essentially, that's what's happening, is you're having congestion on the line. It's similar to that.
Okay. A couple more questions. Christina, you wanna?
Yeah, we've heard of stray
Straight voltage?
Yeah, so stray voltage is something that has come up, but typically stray voltage is it's a difference between ground and neutral. So either near or outside of the dairy facilities or any enclosed animal confinement. So I guess I'm not the subject matter expert on it. I know that there's processes to study that, but typically it's related to the distribution system. So the only place where we'd really have an effect is if we're paralleling distribution for a long distance, and then there would be, there's a process for testing to see what the effects are prior and after, and that's set by the state of Minnesota.
So what you're saying is the transmission movement isn't gonna cause stray voltage,
No,
just the distribution part of it that
correct. I mean, there.
come off, you feed off of it or to locally or whatever?
Yeah, yes, correct. So like we would have what's called induction, but if everything's properly grounded, it will bleed off before it gets inside of the parlor. Or, there's a difference in
I'm familiar with how it works, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Sheila, you had a question?
I got a lot of questions, but for right now, I guess, the height of the tower, is that to keep the safety, factor for the energy that's falling off, that you need that height to make it safe? And in that case, how close can a home be? Yep, and then I'm gonna add to that. So you send out these postcards to landowners in the middle of harvest, where these landowners are all working. And I bet you part of them didn't, a lot of them probably never even saw it. I just saw the first Facebook post yesterday. I think a lot more can be done to let people know what's going on with this. And again, if you're coming back in January, please don't send those postcards right out of Christmas. All the other stuff that goes on. So I just think a better job to let the public. But I know landowners, relatives of mine that live under those power lines.
So we can certainly revisit the accuracy of the landowner list that we currently have, and take into account that those mailings should be sent earlier. As far as the height of the transmission towers, that is a design consideration associated with the National Electric Safety Council. So we need to design that transmission line in accordance with all of the federal and state regulations and statutes. So that drives the height. And then also the fact that you have two circuits. You have the 765 circuit and the 161 circuit. So there's certain clearances that are stipulated. As far as the easement, when we're doing the micro siding, we obviously do not want to see a house within that particular new easement area. So that additional footage may be, like I said, to one side or the other of the easement. It could be split. It all depends on what that micro siding indicates the need is. So we would certainly not design it such that a house is now within the new easement footprint. We would look to design around that because we don't feel that that is acceptable. Yes, so EMF is also another engineering design consideration, and that drives height and width of the easement.
You got lines right now that are running between two houses that probably aren't one house is probably 200 yards from the lines and the other house is maybe a football field.
Exactly.
That line's running right through there, so are you gonna change that, or are you gonna stay the same footprint, or?
So we've got to look out, we've got Doyle land agents reaching out to all of the landowners currently, and we're soliciting through these open houses, so there'll be multiple open houses. So the PUC will do their own regulated open houses. We are doing voluntary open houses as part of this process, but we're soliciting feedback from all the landowners so they can do that through their Doyle land agent contact, the Facebook page, the website, and reach out to the hotline so that we can hear exactly those concerns and make note that this landowner has expressed a concern about this. And then we take all that information in. I mean, the process takes years to get permitted, solicit input, acquire voluntary acquisitions.
Yeah, and so when the line does need to shift because of this scenario like that affects it down line because we want to be pretty straight, you know, we don't want a bunch of jogs because we're also being mindful of cost of this thing too. So, you know, it's a balance between moving around landowners and then also what the effects are down line so that way we can remain efficient. So there's going to be, it's a long process. And so, you know, we are here today, like, we got 5.5 years of, like, where we're working with folks. So we're not even submitting the application yet. We're in the process of just coming up with what's going to be in the application. So taking comments from everybody is kind of why we're starting this today, is to start taking down notes so I can bring them back and then we can think about what the concerns are and work with each individual specifically.
So you mentioned voluntary land acquisitions. So will you get to the point where you're gonna have to use eminent domain?
So that's not why we're here by any means, and we don't want, like, that's not
Down
a
the road, but
so there is a power for eminent domain if granted a permit. So we're applying for permits, and then once the state deems it necessary and then the route is deemed adequate, and I mean, we just went through this in other projects in Minnesota too. Like, we do actually listen to the landowners, and we've changed routes and gone completely different around parcels and or just different parts of the parcel or whatever it may be, and we'll change that design. That's why it takes such a long time, because we're talking with people. Minnesota also has a state statute for by the farm as well. So that's a you know, another benefit, in my opinion, for the landowners.
so what I'm hearing is,
I mean, it's not, and I shouldn't say benefit, but I'm just saying there's more opportunity there for leverage, and we're not trying to, we don't want to have to buy the farm. We're trying to go and route. We don't have to specifically be on the center line in every scenario. it's existing today, and I think the placement is, in many cases, it's away from folks, but there's certain scenarios where it's not. I'm certain that the local folks can find areas where they can point out where it's close. So we're doing whatever we can to make sure that we're away from folks and we're not in their front lawn.
So what I'm hearing is that it's gonna be a last resort situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're not even bringing it up with our
Okay.
agents. It's not we're there to work with landowners, not to
Yep.
tell them we're doing this. We're gaining information. So, I mean, multiple years of working with folks is our hope. You know, I guess that's the way I see it is at least just have an open mind and talk to us so that way we can hear your concerns and do what we can to make sure that your voice is heard at minimum. You know, if you don't talk to us, we don't know what you're thinking. That's, so we're not everybody's gonna agree in this room more than this project. We understand that, but we want, like I said earlier, we want folks to be educated so that way that their opinion is based upon and educated. And so, when we get to that point where we're in front of an administrative law judge ruling on the application for the permits, you know, and the comments come in, they've got well-informed comments and points, and those go in the record, and then every voice is heard, whether it's an entire group or if it's one landowner individually, every opinion's carries the same amount of weight. So if the landowner is educated and informed on the project, they can produce a better comment that'd be considered by the judge in the end of this.
Okay.
When did you say that process is going to start applying for permits next year?
Yes, so the certificate of need has to go in for, in February of 2026, and then we're anticipating September of 2026 for the route. Typically, most of our projects, they are combined and reviewed simultaneously by the Public Utility Commission. Because of the nature of this one, and we're actually jointly, there's co-applicants. So Xcel Energy has a portion that's around Rochester, that goes up to one of their substations near Pine Island. We actually are filing a permit, both permits together from all the way from there to the river, so. It's just been a process, and talking with the Public Utility Commission, they wanted to analyze those separately. And then I think that's gonna allow more comments and, to be able to work out with landowners and local folks a little bit easier than having everything combined.
Every county's gonna have different rules and regulations, so you got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah, yep, yeah, in January too, and I can't recall, do you remember how many, like, are we going county by county, or are we doing?
Yeah, I think that's to be determined, the number of open houses.
Yep.
Yep, to be determined.
Another technical type of question for you. So you have the major power line that's going through on your map. How does this affect the periphery or the lines off of that, the lesser lines that handle that being pushed out to them? Do they need to be replaced, or especially Darylin lines is what or My Energy?
No, they won't have to. We've studied the effects, like, are you talking due to the, like, the electrical effects of the 765, or is it just because they're tied?
Just because they're tied to that amount of
Their
more
feed
energy.
off of it, you mean?
Feeding off of
The
that,
service
yeah. Do
lines.
they need to be upgraded as well?
No, they won't. I mean, there's gonna be substations, new substations, and then that's where everything will happen so it can tie in. So, yeah, and
New substations as well.
we are unique in that we have a double circuit. We are the only ones in that segment that have that, but we are finding to it actually being a benefit in certain electrical scenarios where it actually gets dispersed to our substations, but it's not going to be new equipment or different equipment. It'll just be like a higher class equipment at the substation where it comes in. So I'm talking like arresters and grounding type. So. but it does, that 161 actually takes some of that electrical effect that's bleeding off the 765 and disperses it.
Christina, you had something?
Yeah, so there was some discrepancies, what was being shared on Facebook as far as the map
Uh,
that you set up, and then the one it actually shows it going.
Yeah, we won't be in the city limits of Caledonia. I guess I can't make promises today because I was told I can't, but I don't want to go through the town of Caledonia, and we, like I said, we want to stick to as close to what the existing line is, and we're south of the airport.
So this is the map that is on the website.
So the other map,
This is here. I don't know.
Is that's on our project's Facebook?
Maybe Caledonia had that.
Okay. We can certainly revisit if there's a discrepancy there, but
That's my understanding.
There's some confusion on this. Because Dairyland's already, I've got copies and copies of 3 ones that I've already been sent. So, because they're doing
Oh.
some other fiber line on there,
Yep.
you know, it's very confusing. And is this with this, or?
there's other projects that are
Very-
in the
and-
works.
And very hard dealing with the lady that was, and I finally met with the right away guy, and he was very good at explaining things, but I still don't know if I'm getting all the information.
so this would be a separate easement, and what the land agents are doing right now is they are approaching landowners and informing them about the project and seeking what's called right of entry. So the initial effort underway is for getting our technical folks and specialists out into the right of way to do, for instance, environmental studies to support the permitting application. So land agents are not seeking voluntary acquisition. We do not have a route until the state deems that we have a route. And so right now, we're just looking to collect data. And some of that is soil data, some of that is environmental data, but it's a right of entry agreement that some landowners have agreed to and have been compensated for.
Okay.
Yeah, and there is another project that was occurring with fiber, so that might be part of it, and that's along an existing easement.
It is, but you're reaffirming the easement. That's exactly what they're telling me, that they need to reaffirm these old easements.
Yeah, and
The
I,
only reason we have to do an easement is because you're adding fiber instead of electrical.
yeah,
So who's doing the fiber?
Dairyland.
Oh,
It's on Dairyland line. It's on the existing transmission
I
line,
get
but
you, I get you, yeah.
yeah. The newer technology for our substations to speak to each other is much faster if we have fiber from end to end. So we have instead of a steel shield wire up there, we have a jacketed fiber optic line.
get it. All right.
Just know it's the same time, so the same line is being contacted.
Correct, yeah. And I'll take that back, and I know it's 2 different groups within Dairyland that are doing those. I know it's all Dairyland, so we need to make sure that we have good coordination between,
Need to use that fiber and communicate with it.
yes. You'd think it'd be faster, but,
People are watching.
and maybe catch you after and see who you've been talking to on the.
TV tonight.
All right.
Thank you. This isn't your first rodeo.
Might be their toughest.
Oh, who knows?
All right. Anything else?
No.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
you
you.
coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
And we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, we'll be back.
See you later.
All right, moving on to our consent agenda. We have 2 items on our consent agenda. Any questions on those? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, moving on to action items. We did number 1 already. Number 2, Ryan, are you here? Yep. Consider adopting resolution 25-39 in support of City of Houston LRAP application.
Yeah, so this is something we've done before. When you apply for local road improvement program grants for communities that are not state-aid cities, so within Houston County, anyone other than La Crescent, when they apply for local road improvement funding through the state, they need to have a local agency or the county sponsor the municipality's application. Ultimately, if they get funded, then the county has some responsibility to oversee their projects. So usually the municipality is going to hire their own consultant. They're going to do all the work, but then you have some minimal oversight from the county. So the last time that a different city got funded, we had to go out there and inspect the project 3 times, and it took a total of about 2.5, 3 hours of my time out there in the project. That was about it for involvement. So not a whole lot of county involvement here once they get funded. So there's 2 different communities that are looking at applying for funding. So the one is the City of Houston. They would like to get some funding to essentially pave the surface of Westgate Drive on the west side of the City of Houston.
Between the county road and the state road.
Yeah, between County 13 and State Highway 16.
But it's a county road?
Nope, it is a city street.
Oh, it's a
City street, but it's between County 13 and
Okay.
Highway 16.
Oh.
State highway, yep.
Well, we do this for about every city anyhow. I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution 2539.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Okay, number 3, consider adopt resolution 25-40 to support the city of Caledonia for their LRAP application.
Yep, so this is similar to the other project in Houston, although this one for Caledonia is to extend Warrior Avenue, essentially from the high school area over to Trunk Highway 76. The city, is my understanding, they're looking at constructing this hopefully in 2026, and then having this roadway used for a detour route when the roundabout project takes place in 2028. And Jake is here from the city, so he can maybe add additional comments if you have any questions for him.
Any additional comments, Jake?
Just one thing,
You want to come forward? Have a seat.
you want me to stay a while too?
Man, you never know.
So one thing I learned 45 minutes ago is that if we get state funding, there's a good chance that MnDOT's review will push this where we're doing the grading next year and not paving it until 2027. But given the kind of the unique nature of this project already, we will try to get our way around that. Just and see if they can get that review pushed up and things like that. Our project has been selected as a recommended project for many years now, and just seems like this is finally the time that it's going to get done. So, and we acquired the land last night from the school district, so we'll be at this point just working on this application, and once we get funded, then it will be. I mean, we said this morning as short as a 6-week project once we get rolling, so we'll see how that goes. But been wanting this one for about 20 years now, so very much looking forward to it.
Wasn't there discussion, maybe you just said that in what you just said, I didn't catch it, but wasn't there discussion of doing this anyway because of the roundabout project?
More or less, yeah. We're gonna get. We have the detour funding what it's spent on a bypass route. We're going to get that money towards this project, so that will put us $500,000 or $600,000 closer to it anyway. So if we don't get funded this time, the state still needs it, and we still need it. So we'll find a way to get it done.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll get paid 3 or 4 more times through detour agreements for them to use it for the resurfacing of 76 and then resurfacing of 44 down the road as well.
Well, they gotta get it done before they start the the circle down at the bottom because that's gonna be their detour, so.
Yep.
That's gonna have to be done beforehand, so. I'll make a motion to consider that resolution 2540.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? So you acquired the land from the school. They owned a section along Gavin's property there?
Yeah, it was split. Originally, there was a 30-foot section was owned by the Deerings as part of Deering Estate, and then the other 30-foot section was owned by the school. Sometime in the last 20 years, all of it went to the school. I don't really know why, the background on that one. And so then last night, the school board voted to give that to us.
All of it meaning Deering's went to the school?
No, the 60-foot roadway section,
Oh.
but the city is in the process of buying the 12-acre, the back half of the Deering Estates, because through, one, we want a residential development to happen, and then two, through with the 76 project, we have a very good shot at extending the trail from the roundabout all the way to Warrior, and if we own that land, it makes that all that much easier, but we're not buying. Also, I got a grant, $130,000 towards that land purchase, and next year we'll try to work on some housing development, or to finish the Deering Estates development, that is. Just kind of all this happens all at the same time. It seems like there's a lot of eyes on Caledonia, so we want to keep keep the momentum up and get as many things done in the next 3 to 5 years as possible while all this road project is happening.
Okay.
So just to clarify the resolution, it looks like what we're doing is actually sponsoring the improvement program.
We're supporting the application, yep.
Application to MnDOT, and then also just the city of Caledonia's funding of this. So
Yes.
It's not like county is really involved except for supporting it, yes.
Oh, looks like.
Got it.
Yep.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4, consider adopting resolution 25-42, adopting Houston County policies and procedures manual. Brent.
Morning, Commissioners. So this is the policy manual that has been a long time coming. It's been kind of started a long time ago. And through cooperation and review of many individuals and a lot of time and effort to go through and review this, the policy manual that came forward to you is the one that we are recommending. I would also like to note that I think back when we first started this journey, when we dumped the original draft and decided to create something new, that the goal was that this policy manual was a living document, and it was a group of many individual policies put together for one policy manual. So over time, policies that need to be changed can be changed individually without changing the entire policy manual. At the same time, policies can be added into the policy manual without necessarily changing the entire policy manual because it's individuals. I've already identified another policy that we're gonna have to put into this policy manual before the first of the year, which is the Minnesota paid leave policy. We'll have a policy for that. In this policy manual for your consideration in the front in the introduction, there is a section already outlined for it. We'll just add that in sometime here in December.
So each time we add or subtract to it, you'll have to come.
Correct, yep. So anytime like or we introduce like a policy, or we change a policy significantly, that is something that would probably go in front of the board for review and definitely the personnel committee. With that being said, I'm sure there's a few typos in there and a few miscommas. So as we find those, we'll clean all that stuff up, and that wouldn't necessarily come back to the board for a review. But as we kind of go through that and just fix little things, but the meat of it, as long as that doesn't change, if there's anything substantial that will change in that policy manual, it would come back to the board for consideration.
And it looks like in our last review, I'd asked you this question when it came up, that we have an employee recognition policy that's pending.
Sure, yep.
clarification. I know MCIT that's the policy from MCIT.
Correct.
So pertaining to employee recognition, but that's another example of once that's, it actually, they vetted it and it's legal, but once we have that clarification through our offices here, then we'll add that, but it will have to be approved.
Correct, yep. So that, those policies will come to you individually, like and the Minnesota paid leave policy, that'll just be on the agenda for you to look at and approve, and,
It should be said as Minnesota mandatory paid leave.
Minnesota mandatory, the MMPL, yes, I like that. Yeah, the Minnesota mandatory paid leave policy.
That's what it is though, isn't it? Mandatory paid leave.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
It's a mandatory
Your-
policy
your
that's
comedic-
called, yeah.
Comedic relief. Folks.
So can you address a bit, Brent, on how this is going to roll out?
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll approve this, and then we also have other policies that might be stray out there somewhere.
Correct. Yeah, so, so this will supersede basically any previous policy that Houston County has had. Now, there's gonna be kind of some logistics as far as getting this policy to everybody. Everybody's gonna have to sign off that they have received the policy. That was kind of a logistical hurdle that I was trying to figure out, working with Andy Mildy in IT. If you get the know before information that he pushes out for like cybersecurity stuff, we have the ability to push policies through know before. So that'll be one of those things that employees will get the policy and then also the policy recognition that they've received it. And then they can click that they've received it and they understand it, and then that gets logged. And so then we understand and know that people have looked at it and they also understand it. So that's one aspect of it. And then there's another aspect of it too, of a lot of things in this policy manual that will have some sign offs. So as far as like our sexual harassment policy, you're gonna sign that you understand that, and your workplace violence policy, and some of those things that just reduce liability and risk for the county of having people document that they understand that. That'll be kind of an important topic for that as well. And that will also go through know before. With that being said, previously, when I was first considering this, I was first considering having the EOC and just kind of having everybody come and just do like a mass onboarding with it. With this know before and pushing this out, that probably won't happen. However, I do want to kind of schedule times that if anybody has any questions or if there's any issues, that we can kind of address some of those things, or if there's any questions or confusions on certain what policy wording is, so. And then that'll be.
Clarifications are gonna be some of those.
Correct, yep. And as time goes on, I'm sure department heads are gonna have clarification needs and things of that nature, so. And we'll just.
And will we have a process in place for like an annual review, or everybody needs to review their policies that get to be 10 years old or whatever?
Yeah.
Is there a systematic way? I know we don't really have an application or software program for that, but once they're put in, but maybe there can be a system set up to review so many at a time.
There will be, and that was actually in our next agenda item with
Okay,
our UKG stuff. That will all incorporate with that. So short answer is we don't have anything in place yet, but we will soon have it in place where we can start scheduling kind of routine maintenance on these policies and review them. Now, necessarily procedurally, I don't know how that looks, if that's just gonna be through a personnel committee, if that's gonna come through the whole board. That's something that we can have to work out later. But that is to come as far as what that policy manual will be reviewed and rotationally or sections of it at a time.
So what do we need, a resolution to adopt this, or?
Yep, so, yeah, so it's the resolution 2542, adopting the Houston County Policies and Procedures Manual.
I'll make that motion. We adopt what we have right now. before us.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I think this is something that's been a long time coming, that we've been working on a long time, and I know you and Carol have and done a lot of work in reviewing it, and
Yep, and
Ann too, yep.
and Sheila. Sheila
Sheila?
provided a lot of content and was kind of our first initial go through and misspeller, you know,
Okay.
pointing stuff out. So
That's good.
yeah, it's been a lot of people have looked at it and kind of given some. And I do have to admit, I did tell you I was going to come back on June 1st, and it's a little bit after that, so I apologize. But
It's the same year. So
it is
that's
this.
really
It is the
good.
same year.
For government, that's pretty good.
It is the same year, but
November?
yeah, we're.
All right, any other discussion? If not, is there a motion? Okay, we got
did
that
that.
done, so, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Pose same sign. All right, number 5, consider approving contract statement of work with UKG and the Minnesota Counties Computer Cooperative for providing HR, payroll, and workforce management software.
Yeah, so this was, this is the item that I had budgeted for the next fiscal year. So, you know, coming into this role, you know, there was one thing that we noticed immediately was that we don't really have much of a HRIS software or kind of a workforce management software. So looking at some of the things that we can do to kind of streamline things, make things more efficient. You know, our payroll has a lot of inefficiencies as far as still printing off paper checks, check stubs and deposit slips. There was just things that we could do better at looking at our processes. So this is one of those things that would fix a lot of that. Right now, we use NeoGov, which is our recruitment aspect of it. June 1st, NeoGov is going to go away because that's when our contract is. So my goal is to have this live by June 1st. There's another June 1st date for you. Be live by June 1st because we have to transition our UKG into what we're going to lose when NeoGov disappears. And so what UKG is, what the software is, it's used by many municipalities and also county entities in Minnesota. Many of our surrounding neighbors have UKG. This is vetted through the Minnesota County's Computer Cooperative, and they're the ones that, you know, suggest UKG, and we're actually getting it through MNCCC at a discounted rate because of many users as far as being on this. So this contract would be not only with UKG, but it's the scope of work, but it's actually the Minnesota County's Computer Cooperative with this, the MNCCC. So we're getting the software through them essentially. And there's a user group that we're gonna have to join, and there's, they have meetings when it comes to technical issues and fixes. So what we have, what we're looking at is having everything from the recruitment to the onboarding, to the payroll, to the policy management, to performance management, to offboarding. Everything kind of is encompasses in this HRIS software. And looking at different ones that were out there, this kind of seemed to fit our need the best, probably mostly practically, but also financially as well. Looking at different models, there was a lot of different ones out there, but you know, financially, we have to keep that an aspect of it too. I do know we did have a question yesterday coming up for our roads department utilizes a different type of program. Their cost accounting when they're putting things in as far as this individual driving this piece of equipment on this roadway, they have accounting software that they have to enter that, which also drives their payroll. And I know Sheila's here and I sent her a message yesterday, but we did confirm that it would work the similar way as what it does now with our PayMate. They would export their file, send it to this system, and it would kind of operate the same way. So I do know that there was kind of a question of how that would operate, so. Yeah.
I think there's maybe still some questions about the reporting that highway gets in terms of what they get now. There'll be definitely.
Yeah.
It sounds like I have found counties that have got. I've talked to one county that says they have no issues with it.
We'll have to.
Yeah.
Communication between us.
Yeah. And part of this too is we'll build this out, so that's why it takes a while. That's why I wanted this to come now. And then payment won't be till after the first of the year. But I wanted to start that process now so we can kind of get ahead of it. So we are ready to go by June 1st. And all those processes and how those reports look, that is something that we'll have a lot of input in with their team. And obviously Sheila's going to be involved, everybody, payroll, and everybody's going to be involved kind of like building this out to fit our needs. So yeah, so that's kind of what that looks like, and just kind of asking you to consider for us to be able to approve that contract and that statement of work so we can kind of get started on that.
So the company we got now, are they going out of business, or why are we dropping them?
Well, right now, so we don't really have a company. We have Paymate, which is on our old AS400 system that we've had for a long time. Outside of that, we really don't have a lot of our HR performance management type software. NeoGov, we do have NeoGov, and they were another one that we looked at. The price point was way more expensive. So financially, it just was one of those things that we just kind of considered was not going to be a feasible go. But NeoGov right now does have our recruiting tool that, like I said, does expire in June, because that's when the contract gets over.
So what's a new company gonna cost? Get enrolled?
Yes.
17.
Yep. So there is an yearly fee, obviously, because there's yearly fees with everything, and then also at the same time,
But they have a setup fee, like a
Yeah, the setup fee.
launch setup fee.
so the launch fee, that's the fee to build it out, is $17,655, and then the total yearly is $43,065.
3,000 a year?
43,000 a year, yep. So right now, we pay $9,000 a year for our NeoGov. So subtracting that 9,000 out of that, it does help it a little bit. And then with that being said too, this initial 4365 plus a 1765 was put into the budget for 2026.
$60,000 put in the budget for
Yep.
covering both programs.
Yep, but that first, the 17,655 will drop off, that will not be in the following year's budget on that aspect of it.
And we're paying how much now?
9,000.
So it's an additional 30,000, something like
Is it
that.
that much better?
I believe so. You know, I think it's gonna definitely help kind of streamline our process and kind of help our efficiencies on things better. And right now, we have paper everything, so there's a paper aspect of it too, of kind of possibly going paperless on some aspects. I do think that is gonna be definitely helpful to the county and the operation as far as how you manage all of that. But with anything with software, and it always comes with a cost. And so, and Andy's been looking into the software as well, and he kind of sat in on one initial demo that we had and asked some questions, and he looked into the company, and we got the Andy seal of approval on the IT and security side of it.
This one has all the different components, so
Yep.
if, two questions. I suppose at some point, if we need or don't need one of the components, I don't know what that would be.
Yep.
You know, part of the HR or something like that, we could break that off and still use the rest of the system.
Correct, yep.
Otherwise, a lot of these, I always look at it, yes, it's an investment. However, if it's a time savings, you know, for staff to not devote, basically doing it by pencil, for lack of a better term, I'd say that's more cost effective, bringing all of it into a system. And, you know, so those are employee cost savings as well.
Somebody's gotta put the information into it, so. And somebody's gotta be there to put the information into this system.
True.
Yep.
And how, like, in our pay system in the county, the highway department's kind of on their own, have their own kind of a situation down there, correct?
Yeah, yep, they do their own pay, but then they're actually paid through our system. They export their data from their system to ours. And then they utilize that data to actually make those payments for our employees.
So they would be ultimately using this one.
Correct, yep.
And every employee would be on this system in the county?
Yes, yep, they would, and two, this was also, they also will have, the ability to log in. You know, every employee's gonna have the ability to log in and look at their personnel file and, you know, right now, if somebody moves and has a change of address, they gotta come and talk to Ann, and then Ann has a paper form that they fill out and they change the address, and now, you know, a lot of this is that the employee is just gonna be able to change their address. They'll be able to log in and make that address change or that bank deposit change and.
And Andy's looked at that and they felt that it's
Yep.
secure.
Anybody can go in there at any time and do that?
So not so for example, like if you were to go in there, it was just for your information that you would make that change and then we'd get notified and then also confirm with you that it's yours, because there's all that aspect of it. But you can do it from anywhere. You don't physically have to come to us and fill out that paper form. And
But one employee can't go into somebody else's.
No. No. So every portal is specific to them. Yep.
I like the idea because I think automated systems, you know, yes, there are sometimes flaws and errors, but at least we can have everything in the same place. Also, it helps when we have a new employee or replace some of the employees that we have. They will get to know that system, but they don't have to start from picking the brain of the person that currently does everything from every aspect of it. And also, this is really commonplace for any business to have this type of package. I think we've budgeted for it, so I support it.
Is there any projection on future cost at all?
I don't. So we've locked in for 3 years for a 3-year rate. So MNCCC kind of does that RFP and bidding for us. And so they're the ones that are trying to get the best deal. And it's kind of, since if they're reaching out to, let's say, UKG and dealing with them as far as a good deal, many users kind of on this program or MNCCC can get as many people onto this specific software as possible. It definitely helps that cost go down. It would be more expensive if we did go through them specifically directly, but since it is through MNCCC, we do have that rate, and we do have a 3-year guarantee for that rate at this time.
So it's that rate every year, which is basically a subscriber, we don't own the program.
Yep. Yeah, so it's one of those things that we just pay the license fee for the utilization of the program.
But they support it, right?
What's that?
They support it, though.
The MNCCC?
Yes.
Correct, yep. That's the one that they recommend that you go to, and then the MNCCC is contracted with UKG for these special rates.
UKG is the support.
So we pay $60,000 a year, 3-year contract? That's
No.
No.
17,000 is the startup.
Correct.
Then it's $43,000 a year after that.
We already have 9,000 something a year, so 30.
And there are some little things too, like the sheriff's office has a scheduler that they won't utilize anymore because this has a scheduling aspect in it. We pay for our timesheet software that we won't utilize anymore because this will be in it. So there are little cost savings. It's, you know, it's not the $9,000 cost savings, but there are some little things that'll bring that down. But that 43,000 is kind of what the projected budgeted for the license fee would be for this. For at least the next 3 years.
Where the other department heads kind of help see the, Have they seen it? Is something they're gonna utilize?
Yeah, I mean, so it's part of those, it's kind of the hard part about it is like to be able to show it. We really don't have it, but outside of sitting through like the demos, Carol Ann and Andy, myself, just kind of sat through the demos when they kind of showed all these different aspects. There are different aspects to UKG as well, so there are different, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Like a component?
Yeah, different packages. So there's like a Pro, there's a Ready, different software under the UKG umbrella. And ours is the UKG Ready. Douglas County is a full suite UKG Ready, and I have been in contact with them, kind of speaking how that works. Did meet up with the Douglas County HR person at the HR Fall Conference, and she showed me kind of what it looks like physically and how it works and operates and the pros and the cons and how that they feel that it's working. Reached out to Fillmore County, who utilizes the same, kind of said, what is your thought process? Do you like it?
Did you describe what we do now?
Did I? I did, yeah,
You don't have to.
yeah, I'm not gonna say what I'm not gonna say, but they were kind of shocked on how we kind of operated in our procedures, so, yeah.
So it's more of a need than a want.
Yeah. And with any software, there's no software that's gonna be perfect.
There isn't?
No. So, just on disclaimer like that, there is no software that is perfect. However, I think this is the best suited software for us and for our budget and our needs and kind of moving forward.
I like the idea that it's taking the place of like the other scheduling software or, for example, is what you mentioned in the sheriff's office, so that it could be more of a universal use.
And Brian Swedberg, sheriff, did sit on it as well. And looked at the scheduling software, because that was important to them. They utilize scheduling software, I would think, the most because of their shift work. And so he really liked it and said it could work.
Money out of their budget. They can save money in their budget.
For other things.
Just makes less work for department heads.
Well, it's something that we've budgeted and it's put in the preliminary levy, so, I think it's something we should go to, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, do we have a motion to approve the contract with UKG?
And Minnesota County's Computer Cooperative.
Yep. For the HR, payroll, and workforce management software.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Something that we'll review after, see that they still like it.
Yeah, and that's one of those things too, that we'll definitely review it and kind of go through that process. And, it's not an on-premises software, which Andy appreciates and likes. So it's one of those things, like, if it's ends up not meeting our needs, I don't want to continue with it if it doesn't meet our needs. So.
Locked in on it then.
What's that?
And we're locked in, being we're in a contract though.
It would be for that first year.
We can do 1 year at a time?
Yep, because it's for that 3 years.
So,
For the 3-year rate guarantee, but it's
this
like
isn't gonna get going until the 1st of June, so.
the 1st of June, yeah.
Next year?
June of 2026. So we'll start that implementation team will start reaching out shortly, and we'll start connecting people with staff to start implementing this. And part of that, there'll be some processes that will have to be completed as far as putting information into the system. How do we want the reports? What do we want the reports to look like? The workflow. It's gonna be a project to get this going, but I think it'll be worth it at the end.
I do like I mentioned before, the different components. So if one isn't really working well for us, we can get rid of that one, and use the rest of the system. Many software programs do not work that way. It's
Sure.
either all or none.
Yep.
Anything else? All right, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That was an opposed, Craig? Okay. All right. Number 6, consider discussing future county reorganizational structure. And I'll stop there. Brent, your name is on this, but as you know, Cindy and I have been, everybody should know this, that we've been on the organizational structure committee. We've been talking about future reorganizational positions and structure. I don't know, Cindy, you want to take up on what we've discussed, or?
Sure. First of all, a couple of things that, we're thinking of ahead of time is that our interim administrator appointment ends the end of the year, December 31st. So we've been looking at options and thinking about that, at least since I've been on the board, because I do think the administrator type role is pretty critical for the county. So we've been thinking about options and how we want to move forward. We have looked at a role that would be a county coordinator role, in that it's a similar role, to combine that with the HR director role to provide leadership and management of day-to-day operations under the direction of the board. And then also this role would be able to coordinate a lot of the county activities not assigned to elected official by statute, but work with the board, county departments, other agencies, and the public. So we'd like to continue to work out some of the details for the position, along with the input, that we get from Personnel Committee, and then bring it forward for review before the end of the year. But to combine the coordinator role with the HR director role.
Right. This is something that we've reviewed and discussed and had conversations about and looked at what other counties are doing as far as a coordinator / HR role, and it's something that we thought that would fit our county the best. But we wanted to bring it up for discussion with the rest of the board. Kurt isn't here, but we want a full board discussion on this when we have our action item. We never budgeted an administrator role for 2026, so that's something we had to consider. This way, it's something that would fit in with our budget somewhat, a lot better. So you feel this is the best fit for us as a county?
Want to continue those discussions?
Yep.
The other part of that is, in looking at that contract that's ending the end of the year, also we have a CETA contract that expires at the end of the year. So we would like it to be, or we thought it would be beneficial to have our HRO initiate an RFP for an external economic development services to continue that growth. Just in my observation, I think EDA is critical for the county. I think any of the services that we have through that role definitely need to be provided and focused for a good focus for the county's growth, continued growth. But first thing we need to do is initiate that RFP to replace that, because it's done at the end of the year.
Right.
Why do we need it? We don't have no new businesses coming to town. We're giving money out to people that are rebuilding and business that have been in business for 20 years. We're giving them money out to all them, but there's no new business coming to town. And we've tried to get daycares, and the government screws that up. I mean, they're in that so bad that there's gonna be no daycares anymore. So I mean, what are we having this EDA for if nobody's coming to Caledonia? Can't build a house hardly in Caledonia.
We just approved a multi-million-dollar cold storage facility that got an EDA grant to do that. So to say that the EDA isn't doing anything in the county, I don't think that's a fair statement.
No, but they're supposed to be giving their money to new businesses, not to old businesses.
That's not necessarily true. It's for new business and current businesses that are operating.
Okay.
If they're an expansion process, just like what with Snowpack. So,
I mean, Snowpack is a tremendous business and asset for the
No
area.
problem with that. I have no problem with that, so.
I think it might be wise to come up with an RFP and have the full board review the actual scope of it in comparison to what we had. I think there's probably a question that we also need to address. AFSCME union, they granted permission to have this contract, but it expanded and now it's rep, and I think that's probably something.
Yeah, and I think so as far as the ASME listed in the contract now, I don't believe that there's EDA listed in the contract now. There is state statute that says that you can't fill a position that has been vacant within 4 years with a contracted employee. So at one time we did have EDA, and it was in that, I think it was in that 4-year spot, so that's kind of where that permission had to happen. But I think we're outside of that 4-year
it's
section
been
now.
that long since we've had one.
Yeah,
But it's still a consideration for.
No, not if it's with past the time frame.
I guess, it's up to the board.
Okay.
But what we're looking at is bringing these materials together for approval. So you're not actually approving of the position of this time, and then also the economic development role needs to be covered somehow.
Right. And that's what we want to see is an RFP to go out and advertise for services for what CETA has been doing for us.
Correct.
And if there's any other interest from anybody else out there who wants to do it as well.
Okay.
Because their contract with CETA is coming to an end, so.
Opens up options.
Right, opens up options for, yep.
Yeah, sounds good.
And it's not like these duties, a lot of groups look at how do they fit in with something else that you're currently doing, and it really doesn't. It's separate external communications, so.
Take that money.
So this is just a discussion, but do you want action on to direct for an RFP?
Yeah, I think we need, something to see, and like Carol had mentioned earlier, just the aspects of, what's involved in the position, what does that mean? What are the requirements that we would have as a county for economic development? That's what need to be listed and then put out there.
Okay.
Well, why don't we table it till we get all these facts, and then Kurt will be back too. Cause you want these facts, so it's gonna take a little while.
We could,
It expires the end of December, so we'll have to move on it the next week too.
I mean, if you had an RFP to start the beginning of the year, it would have to go out that first week of December. Essentially, with that RFP would have to go out. So this time next week, if that's the route you wanted to go to, this next Thursday would essentially kind of be that, or not this next Thursday, the next board meeting would be your last kind of be able to go through as far as what that looks like. So that would go out that December 2nd.
all right,
What's the rush?
just get it for next year, the beginning of next year.
Yeah, because your CETA contract ends the end of December. So if you want one that starts the beginning of November or the beginning of January, it'd have to be started now, so that process goes out. So in January, you'd have somebody that would fill that economic development.
Can't we start it in February?
You could.
I mean, we don't have to cram this thing right now and get screwed up maybe and get some bad facts and it don't work out. Let's take our time.
Well, we could have it come up next week.
Yeah.
If they got the facts back, that's fine.
Yep. All right.
Just what facts are you looking for, just out of
Well,
curiosity?
she had all kinds of questions that she wanted answers to, and if you come up with them, then we can go and look at it.
I'll send him your way.
All right.
Okay.
Put it down in writing. It's easier to talk about something once you have it down on paper
Yep.
or document.
All right. We will do that for next week.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Number 7, consider approving 2026 board meeting schedule. Everybody's had a chance to look at that.
Anything weird, any weird dates next year, like conflicting holidays or something that we're changing?
Did any holidays change or are all the holidays the same as normal?
Good question. They do change.
I believe the schedule is correct, but if we do notice any discrepancies, we can always update it at a board meeting. But we usually post it, soon towards the end of the year, so folks can start looking at next year.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the board schedule for 2026.
Second.
Is there a second?
Great.
Motion been made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consider reviewing and approving payments. Any questions on those? Carol, you want to bring out anything?
That, we had the auditor's warrants
I see Olympic Builders, the airport thing's been, road check to them.
Wow.
I'll make a motion to approve the payments, I guess. Nobody's got any.
Greg made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. All right. We'll go on to discussion items, administrator updates. Carol? Nothing? Okay. Board updates. We had land use meeting this morning. There was a discussion on there's gonna be letters sent out to some landowners to notify of some the right-of-way issues versus taxable land. They've found a few discrepancies about what's taxable and what's not. So they just want to try to start cleaning that up. And they're doing certain ones at a certain time frame here to help clean that up. They've been in contact with the assessor's office to work on that together.
Is that countywide? Is it all over the county?
It can be, it is, yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know a certain area.
There's a few things that have popped up that in a certain area that they want to start looking at, so. Michelle brought up about, what was that again, Bob? She wants to consider this program for notification if somebody's trying to look into some of their stuff or whatever.
It sounds like she's gonna get a little bit more information.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of an alert program.
An alert software program, so, she thought she had room in her budget to support that, and we told her to come up with the numbers and information and bring it to us.
Help with the, like, people trying to do a fraud, you know.
Yep.
Someone tries to file a document regarding their property.
Right.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
There's advertisements on that.
Have
Yep.
a,
You think you buy a piece of land or something that's not for sale and not theirs to sell?
Well, if
Oh,
you,
wow.
if you rent it from somebody for 7 years and you don't have a contract, you'll own it in 7 years.
So we told her to go ahead and give us the information and send it to us and we'll act on it.
How do we catch that now? Or maybe you'll talk about that with the program.
Or I had an incident in my area where that happened.
Okay.
Yep, that's why he's got it brought up, I think.
Amelia brought up a few things. She mentioned that she had a draft ordinance for the solar, commercial solar, for us to, I don't know if you all got copies of that?
Nope.
We'll get that to you. That'll be coming up for our planning commission meeting.
Is that the second review this month for that? Okay.
Yep.
At Planning Commission?
I myself haven't had time to look at it, so I'm gonna look at it today when I get home.
Well, you can look, at least you got it to look at.
Probably because I'm on the planning commission, but
Would help, I imagine.
other than that, AMC's coming up here. Not sure I'll be able to go now, but just a reminder for everybody. I guess that's all I got. Commissioner Wright, what do you have?
Oh, let's see. WinLAC Policy Committee met last week. Nothing in particular to discuss that's new with that group. We also had a workforce development meeting. I've been meeting with SHAC group for public health. And then also I had a Hiawatha Valley Mental Health group meeting last night or yesterday. And that's, once again, they're doing a great job in the county and in our areas of expanding their services. So you'll hear more about that.
Okay. You plan on attending this meeting tonight in Caledonia?
Yes, at 4 o'clock, actually this afternoon, yes. Not tonight, like Carol mentioned. I do.
Gets dark almost at 4.
Well, it is tonight then, yeah.
All right, Commissioner Schultz?
Oh, you covered land use fairly well, and I believe we got another personnel meeting after this one, so.
Yep.
Calls, but.
Commissioner Mary?
The public hearing last Wednesday night. Outside of that, not much. Got the personnel after this.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right. We'll move on to closing public comment. Anybody like to make a closing public comment? Anybody? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.